Welcome. Time for our day 11 debrief. Got some great examples of figurative language, mostly similes in this reading. Losing a leg was like having to learn to suck in air through the pores of my skin. What an interesting description, like something completely new, something difficult, something sounds impossible. I feel like I'm trapped under a layer of ice. Also very stark. Vanessa prancing all over the place like she's unbeatable or something. When Jessica gets to the track meet, she stops to soak in the view. It's just a figure of speech, not really a simile or a metaphor, but it communicates, doesn't it? She's not literally. I guess it's kind of an idiom. She's soaking it in. And you may relate to that if you've been to a big event, a carnival or a big game or something. The starting gun cracks, my heart gallops away. That really gives you a great picture, but sort of personification of her heart. But again, something we can probably all relate it to. Um, I have an urge to flatten her. So maybe a little bit of hyperbole, but also sort of a figure of speech. We don't literally flatten people, but we think of that when we talk about hurting them. The track meet is such an interesting time for Jessica. She's got all that ambivalence from earlier in the book. She wants to be there and doesn't want to be there, and she's excited but also kind of overwhelmed. Lots of feelings being brought up. Thought it was interesting that Chandal makes another appearance. She seemed to kind of we saw her the very first day of school. She runs up and says hi, very first person to greet Jessica, I think. And Jessica's like, what do we have in common if I'm not on the track team? And here's Shandal again, connecting, seeming to really try to understand her, even though they're not really close. That's interesting. I wonder if she's going to pop up again or become more important. And of course, she has to see Vanessa again. And we see that Vanessa is not a nice person, not even to her own mother. That's a little. It's just disappointing. You hate to see people act like that. There was a really interesting and important thing. Jessica says that she feels like maybe people are looking at her and whispering about her, and then says, or maybe they're not noticing me at all. That is a really insightful sort of thing because teenagers, all of us, everybody who is a teenager, who's been a teenager, we get that because we feel like people pay more attention to us than they really do. So we feel like the spotlight's on us when we're feeling uncertain about ourselves, insecure. We feel like everybody's watching. And at least Jessica's kind of also thinking, well, but maybe they're not. And that's important. I hope you are able to do that. Sometimes we feel like we're in the spotlight, but maybe you can do the same thing. Maybe they're not noticing me at all and they're talking about something else. But I think maybe the most surprising thing, for me at least, was that we knew Vanessa was going to be there. We knew we were going to have to watch Jessica watch Vanessa win that race that should have been Jessica's to win. But that encounter with Vanessa's mom seemed really interesting, didn't it? It surprised me, and there's something there. There's something there. I want you to think about why do you think our author brought that up? Why did we see that? Authors don't just throw stuff into their books for no reason. That's not how writing works. There's a reason we got to see that encounter, something that Jessica learned or something that's important for later. It's just a guarantee. That's how writers work. So I want you to think about, why did we meet Vanessa's mom, and why do we think, gosh, she sure is nice. Why is Vanessa so awful? How could she have such a lovely mother? What role do you think she might play later in the story? It's hard to guess, isn't it? So just think on that, and I'll see you next time.